Hey everyone, what's happening? It's JDosX here, and this is a follow-up to Mini Tut Monday episode 4, where I showed you guys how to create an animated Boolean operation. For those of you who hadn't seen it, I suggest you check it out right there, because this is the tutorial for doing the spinner demo from that video, which is basically where rotating these little guys here affects the cut here, as you can see. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, the aim of this is to cut basically these tubes into this box and animate it so that when these tubes rotate, the cut also rotates. These are just standard tubes which have had their slicing changed, and this is just a regular box. Change that material. Here we go. The very first thing we want to do is create an instance of these. The reason we want an instance is because we want one to do the cutting and another one for us to manipulate. You can do what I just did there by holding shift and dragging, by the way. When this dialog box comes up, you have to press instance, otherwise this won't work. After we've created the instance, you can just drag it into the box here and position as desired. Here we go. That's pretty much the hard part done. All we have to do now is create a Boolean operation, and you can do that using either ProBoolean or Boolean. I prefer ProBoolean, but that's just me. Make sure it's set to subtraction, and to avoid any potential problems, turn on no edge removal down the bottom there. All you have to do now is pick your cutters, and you'll see that the cuts have now been made in the object. Now that that's done, we need to make sure that these can manipulate the cuts here. Notice how if we manipulate these now with position and rotation, nothing happens? Well, to actually get it to work, you have to add an X-form modifier. So we'll just do that now. The reason you use an X-form modifier is because that actually changes the internal workings of the model instead of just changing the world space coordinates. To move around the model using the X-form modifier, you just have to go into the gizmo, and then you can just position and rotate as normal. Notice how when I move around this object, it changes the position of the cut. It also works if I do rotation. Here we go. I'll just apply X-form to the other one. I've already done it, haven't I? Very cool. So there we go. Just make sure you go into Gizmo, and that'll allow you to position and rotate as normal, and the cut will be affected in the object. That's pretty much it. Something else to mention is it's a good idea, if you're going to leave these in your scene, it's a good idea to go into object properties and turn off renderable and also make them see-through. This way it makes it more obvious that these are just sort of control handlers and not actual objects in your scene. It's also worth noting that if you animate this cut using these handlers and then hide the handlers, the cut will still be animated. I'll just show you that real quick. We'll just animate the center one. Here we go. So that changes with time. Now I'll just go ahead and hide these two. And notice how, even though those are hidden, the cut still changes with time. So that's how to handle the spinner demo, and that's also just some pointers on what to do with your handlers once you've made the cuts. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've learned something.